Hey, what is up, everyone? It is Rich. All right, welcome to the fourth video that I've uploaded today. I'm on fire. Like I said, I'm building my stamina for the Blaster Kid campaign launch, and that month is going to be very intense, and I needed to get my video and talking cardio at maximum levels. So anyway, this was requested a few days. I actually read this a couple of days ago and had already even shot a video of it. I had a video processing while I was shooting it, and I could hear the fan a little tiny bit in the background. And I know people watch these videos with headphones and don't want a bunch of ambient noise. So anyway, Marvel Knights, issue number 1, Daredevil, The Man Without Fear, written by Kevin Smith, pencils by the amazing Joe Quesada, inks by Jimmy Palmiotti, and we'll credit the colorist when we get inside. But yeah, this was really, really good. Great first issue, fantastic art. This cover is just a banger, man. It is so good. Joe, like I did a commission. I don't have it online right now. I'll dig it out and do it. But I did a commission of Joe, and man, he'll put Daredevil in the best poses, like these leaping, flipping poses. It's so good in this city. Beneath him is just really, really cool. It's really just a fun, dynamic, classic kind of Daredevil vibe and thing. So, all right, let's get into the comic itself. I put this black page so you wouldn't see the spoiler at the end of the book. But there are spoilers in this video, to be clear. I'm going to go over the whole story. So anyway, it starts outside of, I think this is the maternity hospital here. This might not be. This might be the building that Matthew lives in. Anyway, he's reading a letter from a woman named Karen Richards. She's kind of discussing their relationship and how Matt has always been sort of a better person than her. They talk a little bit about church and forgiveness and this, that, and the other, and the fact that even Matt has forgiven her for sort of things that she did, and even admits the cacophony of the kitchen. I think I got the answer. So she's relocating to Los Angeles for an AM drive morning radio slot. Anyway, so this is a little bit of like a goodbye letter, it seems. And she's gonna take the job. So Matt's reading this in his. Oops, sorry. It said 2. I thought it was gonna be page 2. Anyway, so Kevin can write a lot. He's one of those writers that will sometimes put a lot of like text on a page. It actually read well. Like when I read this, I didn't feel like it was overly verbose. I didn't feel like it was a waste of my time. It read pretty smooth, all things considered, and I thought it was good. So anyway, you can check out all the things that she says, but it's a lot of regrets and sort of self-analysis, analysis of Matt's behaviors, and at the end she ends it with, "I will pray for you and us, love, Karen." And I guess he's not really reading it. I guess this is like a letter that he's gonna find, or maybe it's like on the floor here, something like that. But anyway, so we've got Matt passed out in his bed, probably been doing Daredevil stuff. Who knows? All right. Anyway, so this was pretty cool. In the background, we've got some very fancy, almost Gustave Doré looking illustrations. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this art in the background was done by Joe and Jimmy, or if it is just bits and pieces of that type of stuff. I couldn't really be sure, to be honest. So anyway, we cut to a maternity hospital, or a hospital. I think it's a maternity hospital, or maternity ward, we'll say, in a hospital. Anyway, and so Kevin breaks down that in New York City, a child is born approximately every 8 minutes. There are 218 hospitals in the 5 boroughs, most of which are barely able to accommodate the city's daily need to repopulate itself. Anyway, he goes on to say that the staff is overworked and the spread thin and stuff like that. But we see these 2 very suspicious guys exiting this room, this crazy weird glow of a light, and they kind of leave, and they're kind of glowing some weird things. So a nurse comes in at some time later, enters the room, and the incredible light that emits from it, and she says, "Oh my God!" And then there's a very big sort of flash, we don't really find out what exactly happened here. I can speculate based on the rest of the story, but I'll kind of leave that up to your own sort of discretion of how you want to sort of interpret that scene. Anyway, we cut to probably the next morning, a young girl running down the street, and she's carrying a wad of what looks to be clothes. And anyway, we see the hospital tragedy. I don't think we really get much more of the headline. It looks like there's like a John Cena image right there, but it could be Vanilla Ice. It's a different news line, but I don't know. That kind of looks like Vanilla Ice to me. Anyway, so she's talking about like she wished that she would have participated in gym class a bit more because she never thought that running would come in handy, but she's getting winded after just running, here. But anyway, she's being chased by a car. So one thing that is interesting about this is the license plate is a California license plate, and from what I would imagine, they're in New York right now. So that's definitely unusual and something that isn't, I don't think, expanded on more in this issue. But anyway, so she's running down a back alley. Of course, the car is going to follow, as they do. Bad guys, they never let up. So he's gesturing to his buddy. She went this way. So they start following her. In the quiet moments between the inevitable detection by the men in the car, Gwyneth recalled the day she told her very Catholic parents that she was 4 months pregnant. What's unusual about her pregnancy is that this is like sort of, we'll call it a miracle birth. The silent rage and shame she heard in their voices when they addressed her from that moment on almost made her long for her parents, who believed in corporal punishment. She cried herself to sleep every night, and she prayed over and over in a mantra like state. That's not what it said exactly. I'm paraphrasing. But anyway. And then both of her parents were killed. When she woke in time to see the men beheading her mother over her father's corpse, Gwyneth allowed herself only a half second to mark the irony, because she was hoping that... probably not that exact scenario, but anyway, it got bad. May the Lord fill you with his holy trust, offering absolution for the trespasses you're about to confess. So this is Matthew visiting a priest and going to confessional. So we've cut away from her running. And this is a very creepy looking Matthew. He looks like he's 50 years old and is part Bizarro or something. It's like very crazy. His hair, the whole thing. It was a little weird. I was like, who is this? But it's Matthew making his confession. He almost, you could take this as that it's kind of the monster in him, part of him. I'm not saying that that's what it is, but he's feeling guilt. He's feeling these emotions that are very negative and maybe considered evil, and so it's portraying him as kind of evil. And he starts to hear a heartbeat, but you'll see he kind of starts to mellow out visually and starts to look a little bit more like what you would maybe imagine him to look like. This is the priest talking in these word balloons, and the pulse is getting stronger, but not only is it getting stronger, now there's two. There's a quite rapid heartbeat, and then one that's a little bit more consistent, and then we get this. So now he's hearing the whole chase, and it's this teenage girl, her infant, and a car. So he immediately goes into action. He splits, and the priest obviously kind of keeps ruminating his things about people seek out therapy, but really what they need is religion and spiritual cleansing and forgiveness and da-da-da-da-da. All right, anyway, then we get the big money shot of Daredevil in a very Art Nouveau, Alphonse Mucha inspired mosaic of design. The lettering, the borders, the whole schmeal. And we've got Daredevil leaping into action. It's a beautiful sunny day. The colors were a little weird for like what we went from to this was a little jarring to me. The colors on this book are Brian Haberlin Studios with Dan the Baron Kemp. But yeah, this is quite colorful. So anyway, Daredevil is leaping into action, and let's get it on. Go, Daredevil, go! I think this is actually the page. Yeah. So the car is chasing her. We've got these two guys. They're kind of dressed similarly. It's funny. They got their... I mean, they're not probably blue jackets. I guess they could be, but anyway. Red ties. And she's running for it. And we've got the California VIP plates. Daredevil punches his fist through the windshield, grabs this guy, and they crash into some of the city's property, take out a fire hydrant. His comment here is pretty funny. It's like, the hydrant falls under the $1 billion a year insurance policy the city took out for metahuman damages. I brokered the deal last month. Felis. More of that Catholic guilt the Padre was talking about. So Kevin keeps his sense of humor in it. And again, I really felt like Kevin is very informed with the stuff that he writes. And so you get a very honest... He's a very honest writer, and he writes what he knows and then what he's into. But I think he's actually a pretty good writer. Anyway, so the adrenaline rush subsides once the threat is neutralized, and I'm back to square one, battling back the aching sense of morose solitude I woke up with. So their car's trashed. They took out a fire hydrant, as we saw before. So there's water pouring everywhere. These two guys are knocked out, and as the cops show up, he realizes that the girl has escaped. And so now he's got to explain to the cops what exactly went on, because they don't know about the girl that he was trying to rescue. And so it kind of sort of keeps him stuck at the scene. Thanks, little girl. You just made my life incrementally more difficult, as he's got to now deal with the fallout from this whole thing. So we cut to him a little bit later. He's in his law office, the offices of Sharp, Nelson, and Murdoch. And he's talking about his apartment and kind of the relationship they have with the girlfriend, and how he can still sense her and smell her in the apartment, and that there's rooms that were her rooms and rooms that he hadn't even really been in yet. You know, it's all ridiculous. He's very, very hung up on her, but he says, I need something to take my mind off of her or someone. And then he thinks of Natasha. And he goes, how honest a boyfriend was I after all? I kept an Old Flame's number on my speed dial. Then he justifies it with, like, you know, if he needed to talk to her about a case or a Hydra rumor, or, and he goes, all right, so I'm not such a good liar. He knows why he was keeping the number on there. It was a booty call. And then anyway, Foggy comes in with this woman, so Saved by the Bell. He was he picking up the phone to call? Oh, he was calling her. Okay, he was calling her, and then he hangs up. So he's actually a little relieved that he didn't follow through with calling Natasha. I didn't pick that up the first time I read it. It's what's kind of nice about, like, you do these videos, and even if I don't explain things well to you, I definitely will pick up little bits and pieces of things that I may have kind of glossed over reading it the first time. Anyway, so Foggy comes in with this woman, and her name is Lydia McKenzie. So Lydia McKenzie is going through a divorce, but it's a multi-million-dollar divorce. Matt's not hot on the idea of doing divorce cases. That's not really what their law office is about. Anyway, Matt's like kind of monitoring her pulse, and I guess Matt's kind of used to women being attracted to him, but he senses that she's not attracted to him. Her pulse barely picks up. Apparently, I'm not her type, but I'm getting that Foggy is. Foggy's really into this lady, too. It's kind of funny. And then he starts hearing the heart signals again. This time they're a little more balanced. Like, you can, like, it's probably just the way that it was set up. But, like, initially when she was running, her heartbeat was quite a bit stronger than the baby's. Now they're more balanced, but she's also not freaking out at the rate that she was when she was being chased by the car. So anyway, he kind of excuses himself, and he says, look, we can have dinner sometime and kind of discuss the case. As he goes out into the lobby, though, his senses are disrupted by all the commotion in the lobby, which is other people, phones ringing, and whatnot. And so he loses them again. Damn it. All right, so we cut to like the thugs that were in the car, and this is their boss. So he's scolding them for screwing things up and for letting the girl get away. And he's pissed, but he says he's not going to make an example of them, but he's tempted to. But he's using his sort of self-control to not do them. But he says, but I myself am extremely embittered with both of you, with you both. Anyway, so they apologize and they walk out, and he kind of tells them to like hit the road. But they get in the elevator and you start to see water dripping on their heads, and he was lying, and he does end up killing them. So the elevator fills with water and they drowned. So thanks to their blunder, I'll have to appeal to the vigilante's humanity. So he is pissed. Now, I don't know. I guess really the only person that he made an example. Well, it's kind of interesting. So we didn't actually. So this is not the guy talking. This is another one of his men, and it's this dude that's standing here. But the guy talking, we didn't really ever see his face, so it's kind of interesting too. He was not revealed. So anyway, Daredevil is flip-flopping around the city. He's thinking Daredevil thoughts, thinking about his Karen. Let me see. I'm just going to browse this real quick. Like I said, I read this a couple of days ago, and I've read a lot of comics between then. He kind of makes a joke about leaping buildings in a single bound, and then he goes, well, a single bound is overstating a bit. So he's talking about, like, he never tried to judge her, and nothing but the best intentions for you, but you know what? But we know what road they pave. So here I am, soaring through the night sky, busying myself with another fool crusade, all in the effort not to go home to an empty house filled with memories, still filled with you. And he senses a crime going on. You can read the rest of this. But anyway, so erratic pulse of someone who's disregarding all that was instilled in them as a child. So he senses criminal activity. And here is the criminal activity from below. This guy is looking for a carnal release, it says. So it's a big thug, the nose ring, attacking a girl in the alley. But Daredevil is coming to the rescue. He hits him in the head with one of his sticks. Crunk. Whips it back. Every night you put on an immorality play for me. You show me the disparity of man's magnificence to his actions. Eons of evolvement, and we're still seeking the darkened corners to sate our lowest impulses. How disappointing it must be for you to see us at our worst. All right, so he's kicking this guy's ass. This guy's got a little tiny knife, or he's so big that it's tiny. This kind of, a little bit of this had a little bit of like these two panels right here had a little tiny bit of like a John Romita Jr. vibe to me. It was kind of interesting. Anyway, he snaps his arm, and then he's talking to God during these parts, and he says, even if you exist. So he's kind of doubting God, and then it's like a nice little whatever, like symbolism here is the tattoo says hell to pay. So we've got the heaven and hell, God, an immaculate conception with this girl, Daredevil. So this is where they reveal that she had an immaculate conception. The meatpacking district around 3 a.m. Oh, no, this is when she gets inside. Like this is like the sign to go seek out Matt. So these angels come to her and thank you, Lord. So they've shown her the way, what she's going to need to do, who she's going to need to reach out to. It's pretty good. All right, so he's talking to Foggy about the divorce case, and he says, well, the reason that he took the case was that there was something very strange that went on, and what was strange is that the husband sterilized the wife unbeknownst to her. She went into her gynecologist, and she had been sterilized without her knowledge. So Matt says, hearing something like that makes me wonder where I stand on God. I sometimes feel like he's standing on me, Foggy says. This coming from a guy who practically is Mr. Liz Osborne. And then he talks about that he likes Liz Osborne, but she's no Lydia. Bum, bum, bum. So that's interesting. And then again, Matt picks up on the signal. We've got the woman's heartbeat, and it's racing harder this time. It's not as calm and the child's. So the twin heartbeats are suddenly almost deafening. What is it, Matt? They're near. I can hear them. So he's going to go ultimately find them this time, he hopes. Runs to his office doors, which are quite tremendous. He opens the door, and ta-da, there she is with the baby. He can smell the baby, he says, the new baby smell. And then he talks about that he needs to remember to play blind. Sometimes I forget to play blind in the office. I got to watch that. Pun intended. Anyway, the young lady bolted by me before I had a chance to, so she's apologizing to him that she got into the office and went to the door. But he actually lies and says that she's an old friend coming to visit, and he asks her to grab a can of formula and some Yoo-hoo. Apparently their law offices come prepared. They don't just have crayons for parolees. Whatever. All right, so he escorts Foggy out. I'm going to have to get back to you on the Mackenzie case, Fog. I hope there's... And then Foggy kind of makes a joke and says, I hope there's nothing you're not telling me here. She's a little young for you, isn't she, Matty? And then Matt says, out you little scamp, Foggy. Insinuating that I'm with a young person. Anyway, so they start talking, and she starts to explain the situation and that she was a virgin, and this birth was, again, like an immaculate conception. Again, this is all very Kevin Smith. He loves this stuff. They're both drinking Yoo-hoos, so he's kind of relating to her at like a base level, but she does look like a kid. Anyway, so needless to say, I'm flabbergasted. A condition that's only exacerbated as she proceeds to explain how she's never been with anyone, and how until that morning she had no explanation as to how she came to be with a child and then have a child. She follows this with a tale about the murder of her parents at the hand of the men who were chasing her, all over this seemingly immaculate conception. This is a pretty crazy story that this girl is telling. We've got some Alphonse Mucha prints in Matt's office. So they're definitely... he may have redrawn over the Mucha stuff, but these are definitely Mucha prints here. Anyway... He says that her pulse hasn't altered, though, the whole time that they've been talking. So it's like she's telling the truth, or at least she's convinced herself that she is. I ask her what she'd like me to do. I tell her that her testimony, we can prosecute the thugs, that they were chasing her. I assure her that we can enter her in the witness protection program. She says, I thought you knew. And he goes, knew what? The dream. The angel said you'd protect my baby. Matt goes, well, I can offer you both legal protection if that's what the angel meant. And she said, Mr. Murdoch, the angel told me you're Daredevil. And he's like, what? This gets really good right here. Do you study your Bible, Mr. Murdoch? Not since the 10th grade. He's thinking this. I wish I'd stay current. The Redeemer swore he'd return in the final days to save the just and judge the wicked. I don't know why they chose me, but this child is the Redeemer. In 30 years' time, its work will begin. You have to shield the child from the evil men who are chasing me, chasing us. This is some heavy-duty stuff. He's got 30 years to work it out. No. Keep my baby safe, at least until help arrives. You're a good man, the angel told me. I trust you. You're our only hope, Mr. Murdoch. You're this world's only hope. Her kiss is almost ethereal. It's weird that she kisses him on the cheek. Anyway, so it says, keep the faith. And he says, hey, wait a second. And she walks out. The mother of the world vanished from the law offices of Sharp, Nelson, and Murdoch. Sorry, my glasses are not on me. This is great, though. I love this. At 5:26 p.m., the Savior was left in the devil's care. It's a great ending. It's really, really good. It's great for a few reasons. There's some funniness to it, that he's got like the baby and she split. The reaction of Foggy and everyone is like, they're probably like going like, did he get this girl pregnant? Like, what is going on? So there's some humor to it, but the story is huge. It's really quite beyond a normal comic book story. So it's got a lot of like really neat things. Then we've got a little bit more of this sort of etching Gustav Doré looking filigree panel border design stuff. So very, very fun issue. I really enjoyed it. It's been a long time since I've read like Daredevil. I have a ton of old Daredevil comics though. It's probably one of my longest run of books that I have. I'd say maybe Amazing Spider-Man is my longest, but I have a lot of Daredevil. So, all right, you guys have a great day. I'm going to get to work. I did 4 videos for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed them. You may not watch them all at one time, but yeah, I dropped 4 videos today. I was inspired and just decided that I was going to really push myself. So it was easy to do, to be honest, and quite fun. So, all right, you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you later, and be sure to check out the Blaster Kid pre-launch page because the launch is coming very, very soon. All right, later.